You thought the England Gambit was trash. Think again.
In this video, I'm going to show you how Black can set the brutal trap that catches even strong players off guard. Miss just one move and it's game over. Stick around because you're about to see one of the sneakiest openings in all of chess. White plays d4, you reply with e5. This opening is called Englund Gambit. It is full of tricks and traps that can easily lead to winning positions for the player with black pieces. White goes ahead to capture and you develop your knight. Now this is actually a sacrifice of a pawn by black. White goes ahead to defend it and you play the sneaky move queen to e7. White would defend the pawn to try and be up a pawn and you go ahead and give a check to the king. This position is generally known as the Englund complex and most of the traps I will show you in this game will be from this particular position. If you notice, black gives a check to the king, hits the bishop, hits the pawn all at the same time. From this particular position, a trap can occur. White drops back with his bishop, stops the check and attacking the queen. Black captures the pawn, ready to capture white's pawn on e5 with the knight on the next move. But white stops black's plans, hits the queen and also defends the rook. And this is where you throw in the killer move, bishop b4. This pins white bishop to the king and white can no longer capture the queen. And white will defend the bishop. And when he does that, he simply capture. Now the queen is pinned to the king and is forced to capture. And the moment the queen captures, remember what I told you about this opening being one of the sneakiest openings in chess. This is where it comes in. You sneak inside and mate the king. This second trap I'm about to show you is one that many players do not know because they feel they have studied the Englund Gambits but they fail to realize this trap. And if you watch a lot of Eric Rosen's content, you will know that he has played this trap a couple of times. Now let's back off. You can see in this position that black sacrificed a pawn, develops the bishop and sacrifice yet another pawn. And the moment white captures, you play this move immediately. So it feels like it's a misclick and your opponent will want to capitalize on it. Don't be scared or fooled. The moment white captures this knight, thinking that it's up a knight, you can simply give a check to the king. The king must move as he has no other square to go to. He captured the knight. It is important to note that there's a trap that white can set in order to win back the queen. White will sneakily play e3, threatening to bring out the bishop. Let's say black plays something like this. White is threatening to bring out the bishop with a check. And the king must surely move, or you can defend with either your queen or your bishop. But whichever way, you lose your queen in the end. If you ever get to a position like this, to further keep your chances alive, do not capture this bishop because the moment you capture the bishop, the rook slides in, gives a check to the king. The moment the king captures this pawn, your rook is gone. It is advisable to use this trap only in a bullet game or in a situation where your opponent has less time to calculate the idea behind the sacrifice of this knight. Oh, and if you think you have seen it or you're about to see one of my most favorite trap in this particular opening. White still gives a check to the king and the queen blocks. Now you capture the pawn again. Let's say your opponent has studied what happens if you block with the bishop and decides to block with the queen. Oh, this is even worse as you can develop your bishop, pin the queen to the king. And note, this is not even the idea behind the pin because the moment the queen takes, you don't capture with your queen, giving a check to the king. We don't want that. Capture with your knight, bringing more pieces into the attack. If you haven't watched my video of how I taught how to attack in chess, you should probably go and watch it after this video, of course. And you can see that white is just swarmed up with attack from right, left and center, and white doesn't have enough pieces to defend the attack. Going through this trap makes me remember my days as a 1700-1800 rated player because my opponent, 99% of them fell for all these traps I'm showing you guys. You proceed by giving a check as usual. He defends with the bishop, grab the pawn, he makes the same mistake again. This time you develop your bishop. He doesn't choose to defend it to the queen as in the previous trap, but captures the bishop. Now in this position you capture with the knight. White, in order to avoid his rook from getting lost, decides to develop his knight, and that is not an issue because you still give a fork to the king, and now it's even better because the king has nowhere to go. Now white must sacrifice his queen for the knight, and you gladly capture it. In this particular trap, I had an 80% winning rate as a 1900 rated player, almost getting to 2000 elo points. Now I've showed you a couple of traps. Let's say white declines the Englund Gambit and doesn't capture the pawn, but rather attacks, develops his knight, attacks your pawn, and also defends his own pawn. You can simply push, and there's a rule in chess that states that do not undevelop a developed piece. Yeah, so white follows the rule and refuses to take his knight back to the original square it was. He simply sacrificed the pawn yet again. The moment white captures the pawn back, you develop your bishop. Now this is actually where the trick comes in, because let's say white plays a random move. You can simply jump in, give a check to the king, and the moment the king blocks, most people will see that you can take this pawn with your bishop, but let's do it in a juicy way. Sacrifice your queen. The moment he takes back, you give him a check and it's mate. If you are watching this far into the video, please leave a like, share and subscribe. Let me know what you think about the trap. Lock your answers in the comment section.